Hey, I'm Glenn. Welcome to the Foundations of Trading course. I'm very excited to have you here. You'll probably see my dog in the background a little bit during all the videos that I do, but I'm excited to have you on board and let's jump straight into it. So let's discuss what trading actually is. So before you even touch a chart or look at an indicator or go to a broker's website, you need to actually know what game you've walked into. Because crazily enough, most people don't, and that's why most people lose. So there's a question that really nobody asks first. Almost every trading course on the internet opens the same way. Welcome, let's dive into the charts. And then within 20 minutes, you're looking at candlesticks, you're doing moving averages, you've got 100 colorful lines, but you don't really understand it yet. So we're not going to do that. Because before you look at a single chart, there's a question that matters more than every technique combined. And it's crazy that no one really bothers to ever answer it. What actually is trading? Not the marketing version, not the hey, look at me, I'm trading on the beach version, not the hey, financial freedom version, the real version. Because if you don't understand what game you're actually playing, no techniques on earth will ever save you from that. And the size of the misconception most people bring to trading is genuinely staggering. So let's answer it plainly. Here, first, up front, before you've invested a single hour of study or a single dollar of risk. For me, the honest, one sentence definition trading is this: buying and selling something and being right about which direction it moves next more often than you're wrong by enough to matter. Simple. Because I really want you to understand this, because every single word that I use in there is kind of doing some work. Buying and selling something. You're not investing, you're not saving, you're not building a business. You're doing an action, a specific one over and over on a market. Trading is it's a doing activity, which means it gets learned, and learn it by doing it. Probably badly at the beginning, but repeatedly until you start to do them well. Being right about which direction it moves next. And this is where trading is different to most jobs and most careers. If you work hard, you produce a predictable result. But in trading, you can do everything correctly and still lose the trade because the market's next move isn't something you actually control. It's more like something you could try and predict. And predictions obviously have probabilities. There's never a guarantee with a prediction. And more often than you're wrong. So here's where beginners get their first shock, really. You don't need to be right every time. You don't need to be right most of the time on every trade. You just need to be right in the right proportion, weighted by how big your wins are versus how big your losses are. A trader who's right 40% of the time can be massively profitable. And crazily, a trader who's right 80% of the time can be broke. It just literally depends entirely on the maths of the wins and the losses. And we'll come back to this as the course progresses, but it's really important that we understand it and we talk the truth when we're on this course. The other little phrase, by enough to matter, which is the honest wall that we're going to hit soon. Because a good trader in the long run might make small percentage on their accounts each month. Sounds boring, right? But it compounds into serious money over time. But it does mean that if you're starting with a small account, your monthly income from trading is going to look small for a while. But this isn't the internet's version, but it's the truth. And I'm always going to be honest and upfront, because every member who understands it can then succeed. Because if you don't understand it, what's going to happen? You're going to quit. That's it. The whole definition. Not glamorous, not sexy, but very accurate. Every single successful trader on earth is doing exactly that sentence every day. Nothing more, nothing less. So I want to give you an analogy, and I call it the farmer's market. Imagine a farmer's market that opens every morning at 7 a.m. And let's say the stalls sell tomatoes. At 7 a.m., supply's high because the farmers have arrived with full crates and there's not really buyers because most of the people are still in bed asleep. So the price is low, maybe $1 a kilo. Now, by noon, tomatoes are going to be running out and more buyers have arrived for their lunch ingredients. So the farmers put their prices up and now the price is $3 per kilo. So what would a clever person who understood this pattern, what would they have done? They would buy the tomatoes at 7 a.m. for $1 and sell them at noon or later for $3. They grew nothing, they transported nothing, they invested no capital other than the cost of the tomatoes. They just simply understood that price was going to move and they were positioned before it moved. That's trading. Financial trading works on exactly the same logic, but instead of tomatoes, you're trading the price of gold, for example. When you believe the price will go up, you buy. When you believe it will go down, you sell. And that difference between where you entered and where you exit, that's going to be your profit. So let's talk about what trading isn't. Because that definition is so simple, it can't just be that, can it? So let's spend a few moments just maybe killing some myths, because the myths do more damage to new traders than any losing trade ever will. Trading isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. Yeah, people do sometimes hit big trades, and of course they post about them on social media. But what you're not seeing is the 10 times before that when the same person blew up their account trying to hit that same shot. Consistent trading, the kind that actually pays your bills, looks nothing like the highlight reel. It looks like getting up, running a process, making a small amount, going back to bed, let's do it again tomorrow. Trading isn't guessing. Anyone can flip a coin and buy or sell. That's not trading, that's gambling. Trading is applying a defined process with defined rules to a defined kind of setup over a large enough sample that the maths work out in your favor. Take the process away and it collapses back into gambling. The process is the whole game. And trading isn't passive income. You don't set up trades and go to the beach while the money rolls in. Even in the most automated setups, you still got to monitor it, you still got to review it, you still got to adjust. Trading's an active skill that can take real hours of dedication and attention. It can be efficient attention, absolutely. You don't have to be glued to a screen 12 hours a day, but it still is a bit of work. Anyone who tells you otherwise is trying to sell you something that's not real. I don't want you to think that trading, especially at the beginning, is a hobby that you dabble in. It's a discipline you build. And if your discipline is built casually, it's going to get destroyed the first time the market gets serious. If you're not willing to treat it as a real skill that takes real time to develop, you're going to be feeding your money to traders who do treat it that way. And there's no shame in deciding it's not for you, but there's a lot of damage in half committing. Again, trading isn't predicting the market, it's responding to the market. Big difference, and one that separates good traders from the broken ones. So we'll build this idea properly throughout the course, but for now, just want you to hold on to it. You don't tell the market what it's going to do, you watch what it does and you act. So here's a statistic that I want you to think about. So depending on the study, somewhere between 70% and 90% of retail traders, which means individual people trading their own accounts, lose money over time. Now, that number scares people, and it should, but it shouldn't discourage you, because the reason most people lose are almost entirely fixable. And once you know what they are, you can systematically avoid them, which is exactly what this course does. And its flagship follow-up, that's what it's designed to do. So let's give you the 4 biggest reasons people lose. All 4 of them will be addressed in the modules ahead, some in this course, some in the flagship, but naming them up front means that you know what you're building defenses against. Reason 1, they don't know what they're doing. They jump in with no method, no process, no plan. They watch a YouTube video, they open an account, click a button, and they're shocked when they lose money. What's the cure to that? Education. And this course is step one of that. Second reason, they don't manage risk. They put too much money on any one trade, and one bad trade wipes out 10 good ones. The cure for that? Simple. Understanding position sizing and your risk and reward. We've got a whole module on that later on. Reason three, they can't control themselves. They know the plan, but they don't follow it. They move their stop loss when they're scared. They take profit too early because they're getting greedy. They chase a move because they have a fear of missing out. The cure? Understanding your own psychology. And we're going to start that in module 3. And then the fourth reason is they expect wins on every single trade. They don't understand probability. So when they get a losing streak, which is normal and inevitable, they panic, they change strategies, and they blow up. So the cure is understanding what a real edge looks like statistically, and we cover that in the next module. But notice what all 4 of those have in common. None of them were about technique. None of them are about which indicator to use, or which strategy is best, or whether MACD is better than the RSI. And those are names of indicators, and we don't need to use them. But again, you'll see there's lots of things that can smash into your brain that you don't need. But every one of the 4 biggest killers of retail traders is about the foundations, which is why this course is going to teach you the foundations. Because if you fix the foundations, you've already handled 90% of what kills most traders. The techniques come, but they just come a little bit later. First, we have to the ground, we have to get that ready to be ready to build on it. So what this course will do, and let's talk about what it won't do. So let me be direct about what you signed up for, because clarity now is going to save confusion later. What this course does, it's going to explain what trading actually is and how the market actually works in language a complete beginner can follow. It's going to introduce you to the tools of the trade, brokers, charts, orders, and it's going to get you comfortable navigating them. It's going to teach you to read a price chart properly, candles, trends, support, resistance, the mechanics of every trade. And it's going to install the foundational disciplines around risk, position sizing, expectation setting for profits. That's what's going to separate the serious traders from the gambling. And it's going to introduce a psychological dimension of trading, because your own mind will be your biggest opponent. And so preparing for you, that is not optional. And then at the end, we're going to give you a simple discipline framework you can trade with using nothing but the fundamentals you've learned here. But what the course doesn't do, it's not going to promise or guarantee you're going to be insanely profitable. Nobody honest can promise that. It doesn't hand you a specific signal service or buy here, sell this. No, this is about the fundamentals, not the shortcuts. It doesn't teach the specific methodology of the flagship course that we teach. It's a whole separate depth of material built on this course's foundations. So members who finish this course have a real choice. They can continue with the fundamentals and trade that way and see how they progress, which is absolutely fine, or they can upgrade to the flagship program for the specific methodology that I personally use to trade gold. So both of those paths are legitimate. Members who finish this course and stop here will genuinely have learned some useful trading fundamentals and be able to be profitable with that. Members who continue to the flagship, well, they're going to discover an entire methodology built on top of those fundamentals. But you're not required to. The value of this course does not depend on you upgrading. But what this course requires from you, the willingness to treat trading as a real skill that takes a real time to develop. The honesty to journal your own progress, the wins, the losses, without hiding from either. Patience to learn foundations properly rather than skipping ahead to the exciting material. And the discipline to actually do the exercises that we have at the end of each module. If I read them, it's not the same as doing them. So if you're bringing those 4 things, everything ahead of you is going to work. If you're not, no course on earth, including this one, is going to help you. So one more thing before we close this module, because I want to give you kind of like a lens for how the rest of this course is going to feel. And it's the lens I use with every serious student of trading. Now, I've been a martial artist for 40 years, and trading done right is closer to martial arts than it is to gambling. Think about that again. It's closer to martial arts than it is to gambling. It's the whole philosophy of everything I teach. Both skills are built through drilling foundations, not through improvisation. Both require practice to reach real proficiency. Both have a syllabus of techniques that have got to be learned in the correct order. Both are humbling. I mean, you get hurt when you skip fundamentals. And both developed in rooms with other students guided by an instructor. And both of them will eventually become something that runs without conscious thought. Not because you stopped thinking, but because the thing becomes so deep, you just don't need to keep consulting it anymore. I spent decades teaching martial arts, and everything I've learned about how humans actually acquire complex skills comes with me into how I teach trading. This course and the flagship are built on that lineage. You're not here to learn buttons and indicators. You're here to build a real skill with real discipline in a real dojo. So when you see the martial arts frame come back through the modules ahead, the drilling, the belts, the grading, the master, the apprentice, that's the actual teaching architecture. And it works because it's been working for thousands of years in other disciplines that face the same challenge trading does. Now, how do you take a beginner who doesn't know what they're doing and then build them into someone who can execute complex skills under pressure without panicking? That's the journey, and this is module 1 of it. Now, before you move on, one exercise. Do it. This is the discipline and habit starting on day 1. Set your baseline. It's going to take a few minutes, 10 minutes. But do it when you finish watching me on this. Open a document or a notebook or whatever you'd rather do and just write trading journey baseline. And under it, you're going to write honest answers to these 4 questions. What made you want to learn to trade? What do I currently believe trading is? How much money am I prepared to lose while learning? Not what I hope to make, not what I can afford to lose comfortably without changing my life. And what's my time horizon for actually getting good at this? Is it weeks? Is it months? Is it years? Again, I want you to answer honestly. Sign it, date it, and put it somewhere you can find it in 6 months, because this is going to be one of the most valuable documents in your trading career, because it's your before photograph, the version of you that walked in the door. Every member who's serious about this journey looks back at their baseline page a year later and finds it hilarious or humbling or both. Part 2, the truth check. If your answer to question 3 was nothing, I can't afford to lose anything at all, it's important. I want you to pause and reconsider whether now is the right time to start trading with real money. Learning's fine. Practicing on a demo account's fine. But trading real money that you can't afford to lose is not a beginner's game. It's a stress that will corrupt every decision you make. So sort that first and then come back when it's sorted. Nothing here is going anywhere. Part 3, the commitment. In one sentence, write down what you're willing to commit to for the length of this course. Something like, I will complete every module in this course before I place a single trade with real money. Or I will do the exercises, not just read the modules, or your own version. Write it, sign it, date it. That's your first act of self-discipline in this dojo. And I just want to add, I'm always going to be completely straight and honest with you. I do not BS people. I want you to build a skill that offers you generational wealth. This is a serious endeavor for me to help you. So I don't want to be the person who believes in you more than you believe in yourself. So trust yourself, back yourself, commit, and I'll see you on the next module.